Oh my gosh, y'all, this is so weird. Let me try to get situated here. I'm gonna try to raise this just a little bit, maybe just a little. There we go, more in focus. So today is Sunday, the 19th May. And usually, oh my God, there's 2 spiders in here. It seems like it has been distraction after distraction after distraction with me trying to film this segment. So as I mentioned, let me go ahead and adjust a little bit. Today is Sunday, May 19th, and my usual set schedule is I go to church. This is something that I have religiously dedicated myself to for like the last year and a half, almost 2 years. So if I miss church, it's because of something big. Maybe I didn't get a ride or I'm sick, that type of thing. And today I woke up and I really had like a breakdown, and so much to the point that I cried because I felt so guilty for not wanting to go to church. And usually I'm excited to go. It's something that I look forward to on Sundays. And today was just one of them days where I just woke up and I just could not do it. And I broke down and I cried and I felt so guilty because I honestly felt like God was going to punish me if I didn't go to church. And I know for some people that may sound ridiculous. For some people that may sound spot on. For me, at this point, this morning, that's how I felt. And I decided not to go. It was a really hard decision for me. I sat there and I prayed to God, please God, please help me. Please help me. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And finally, I just texted Deacon. And so in the midst of me doing my makeup, I turn on TikTok and the first message that comes through is this woman, and she says, "You pray too much." I don't want to cry. She said, "You pray so much to the point that you neglect to get into your word and understand God more." And she said, if you did get into your word, you would be able to report or go back to something that would give you a greater understanding of what you are going through. If you got into your word, you would understand why you're depressed, what to do when you're depressed, why you feel a certain way, why you feel the way you feel. And it was the message that I didn't know I needed. And I listened to her say that twice. No sooner than I could turn off TikTok, the phrase all-knowing God popped into my head. And then I didn't hear, but in my head, I heard, know that I am an all-knowing God. And so taking her advice, I went to some Bible verses, went to good old Google, and I looked up those Bible verses. And the one that stood out to me the most is actually the first one that popped up. And I read a good 8 of them. And it's Psalm 139, verse 1 through 24. I'm going to read 1 through 6. And it says, "You have searched me, Lord, and you know me. You know when I sit and when I rise. You perceive my thoughts from afar. You discern my going out and my lying down. You are familiar with all my ways before a word is on my tongue. You, Lord, know it completely. You hem me in behind and before, and you lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me, too lofty for me to attain." And I felt such a peace come over me when I heard that Bible verse in my head, because it no longer became about me doing something outside of his plan, but me doing something that's outside his plan, but he already knew about it. And the fact that he can sit back and he can see my actions and truly know my heart gave me a peace. I no longer felt guilty about it, and I just kind of had to just rest in it. And it's crazy because I've been thinking how before I decided to walk this walk of faith and getting closer to God and building my relationship with God, I feel like my delusional faith was more stronger than my faith of today. And when I say that, I was one of the people who always said, I don't need to go to church every Sunday. I don't need to do this to be close to God. He knows my heart. And honestly, in my heart of hearts, I felt that. And I was strong in that. I was 10 toes down on that. And I feel like the closer I get, the more I question whether or not he knows my true heart, if that makes sense. Now I feel like my faith is there, but it's not as strong as it was way before I started this walk. And that has just been a really weird place for me to like understand. I'm not one to come on here and tell you, God told me to tell you he has a message for. I don't believe in that. I believe in God gives you a message that's meant for you when you need to see it, no one else. So this is his message to me, and I'm just giving it to you guys. You could take it how you want. And walking this faith with God and walking this relationship with him, one thing that I could never understand, even before I started to get back into the word and try to build my relationship with God, I would always hear do nothing. Especially with a certain relationship in my life, I would always hear do nothing, do nothing, do nothing. And in my mind, I just couldn't make sense of it. Like, what do you mean do nothing? I have to do something, and me realizing that what that do nothing means. And it wasn't until I got closer to God that one thing that popped out to me was another Bible verse that I'm holding true to myself, and I try to remind myself of this daily, and that is, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. And that is Psalms 46, verse 10. And for me, I am realizing that I have to realize I am not God's, but I'm God's. And I heard this from another video that I saw, and it clicked for me. I am not a God, but I am God's. And that basically says that he is God. He is in control. I don't have control over anything. I don't have control over my weight loss. I don't have control over me finding a car. I don't have control over relationships in my life, whether they blossom or whether they wither and die. I do not have control over anything in my life. And that is it's a very hard pill to swallow, but it's a pill that I am learning to accept. And once I rest in that, I kid you not, there are things that have happened that I can't explain. There are things that I have done. There are things that I have done outside of his plan and outside of what I knew I should have done. There are sins that I have done outside of God's word that have made me a true believer that he exists and a true believer that I don't have control. So I am just really hoping that I can keep that true to myself. I can hold true to that. And I'm really hoping that as I get closer, I can understand him more. And I'm realizing that with my life and the different steps that I have taken to change, I am realizing how bombarded my life is with distractions. And I think this speaks to everyone. For instance, I am doing fasting, and I never realized how much eating is a distraction. Me not eating and me fasting until 5 o'clock, that's my first meal of the day, has been a real struggle, because if I can't address my hunger, what am I left with? My thoughts. And the thoughts that come to my mind are not always good ones, okay? And so I have been struggling to confront those thoughts, and struggling to confront past mistakes and sins and things that I have done in my life that I am not proud of, that I still to this day wish I could take back. And it's hard because it makes me feel like if I would have did this way, this wouldn't have happened. If I would have did this, I would still be with this person. If I would have just taken the time to do this, then this would have happened. And then I have to remind myself to be still and know that he is God. He is an all-knowing God, and I am not a God, but God's. So I hope that you get something out of this. I know I'm getting something out of this. And I just pray that things get better. That's it. That's all. So we are running on 15 minutes for this part of the video. So I'm going to end it here. And I'm going to go downstairs and start to make dinner. Yep. There's that.